been a pleasure being part of the iBUILD team over the last 4 years. As Phil mentioned, I'm now at SPRU at the University of Sussex, but reporting today on work done by myself and also other colleagues at the Sustainability Research Institute at the University of Leeds around business model innovation for low carbon infrastructure. So, as hopefully all of you know, the challenge of low carbon infrastructure is around meeting low carbon goals alongside promoting national and local economic and social benefits. And we think that, as Richard said, applying a business model perspective is a very useful way of understanding how we address this challenge and how we stimulate the investment and the building of the new low carbon infrastructure that we need. And a business model perspective is useful for analysing the creation and capture of economic but also environmental and social values. And so this is work we did with colleague Catherine Bale, who you're going to hear from on the panel list this afternoon, and other colleagues at Leeds. And then this was taken on, applying this idea in electricity supply markets by colleagues Steve Hall and Katie Rowlick, and looking at scaling up local infrastructure, particularly around district heat networks by colleagues Jonathan Bush, Katie Rowlick, Catherine Bale, and Christoph Knori. So the challenge of low carbon infrastructure, we all know that the Paris Climate Change Agreement, all countries in the world committed to actions to keep the temperature rise to within a maximum 2 degrees C. And this requires various estimates, but trillions of dollars of clean energy investment globally within the next 10 to 15 years. Many of us have been critical about some of the slow action in the UK, but we now have an opportunity through the Clean Growth Strategy and the Industrial Strategy that were published towards the end of last year. So the Clean Growth Strategy commits the government to act to reduce the UK's carbon emissions by 57% by around 2030 from 1990 levels as part of the track to reduce carbon emissions by 80% by 2050, and to maximise the social and economic benefits to the UK from this low carbon transition. The Industrial Strategy recognises this as one of the grand challenges, but also obviously emphasises the transforming the UK economy to boost productivity and earning power. And it recognises infrastructure as one of the key factors which enable productivity improvements in the UK economy. So the role of infrastructure investment in this context is about supporting the UK's long-term productivity, but also enabling the strategic direction for a low-carbon transition and contributing to wider social benefits. So as we said, we think a business model framework is useful for this to, as Rich was saying, about analyse how value is created and captured and who participates, and this idea of balancing divergent social, economic and environmental values. So the business model at the firm level looks at those processes, activities, resources and partners that create a value proposition and the revenue streams and relationships that enable that value to be captured. And we argue for broadening this out to including environmental values and social values alongside economic values. So, and this enables us to examine how low carbon infrastructure values can be created and captured. So, as we'll hear today, there are many different conceptions of business models. So, we took this one, which is sort of widely used in the business literature, and identifies 10 key building blocks of a business model, and two key ones being the value proposition, the bundle of products and services that create value for a specific customer segment, and the revenue streams that enable that value to be captured. And we argue, for, as I say, for broadening this out to also going beyond the direct consumption value proposition to economic development value proposition, social value proposition, environmental value proposition, and also the value streams that enable those economic, environmental, and social values to be captured. So that's a little bit abstract. So how do we apply that in particular context? So as I said, colleagues Steve Hall and Katie Rowlick applied this to looking at new business models for local electricity supply. So for providing electricity to businesses and households. And they argued that local electricity supply electricity locally generated and supplied locally, there are a number of new value propositions that this enables. Better routes to market for local generation, enabling demand-side response and participation, and also things like time-of-use tariffs, linking with smart meters, capturing the benefits of energy efficiency improvements. We know that there are many benefits of investment in energy efficiency which are often not captured. So that's another potential value proposition. And relocalizing the value of energy systems so that the economic value, the development value that's created, doesn't leak out of the local area, but is captured and stays within the local area. And so then they examined a range of new business models to capture, that could be used to capture the value from these value propositions. And which slightly stole my thunder by putting some of these up, but I won't go through all these in detail because I don't have time, but so one of them is the municipal energy service company business model, where a municipally owned energy service company sits at the heart and links the generator side, the local generation, with the demand side aggregation, and interacts through different means of energy payments, balancing and services with the national generators and wholesale market and the local distribution network operator and transmission system operator. And again, so this enables us to examine this process of value creation and capture through alternative business models. And then the work by Jonathan Bush and colleagues looked at district heating networks, a more physical infrastructure, if you like, building local heat networks to meet heating needs sourced from local supply. And this is one of the routes that's been identified within the Clean Growth Strategy, aiming to build and extend heat networks across the country, underpinned by public funding to 2021. So again, it's very timely research. So district heat networks have the potential to contribute to energy policy goals, reducing carbon emissions, but also providing affordable energy and securing local economic benefits. But there are many institutional and governance barriers to the take-up in the UK, including a lack of capacity and funding for local, municipal and community agent actors. So colleagues explored how these barriers could be overcome using agent-based modelling and the decision theatre approach, which was developed by colleagues at Newcastle within the iBUILD project. So agent-based models model interactions between actors, and decision theatres bring together local and public and private stakeholders to explore these options and the potential policy interventions. So again, just summarising a lot of research, the agent-based model enables to look at modelling the development of these heat network business models through looking at decision chains, different actors and their capabilities, the role of actor learning, and interaction between the social, the environment, and the actors. So, and they looked at different, so local authority, commercial, and community group led potential business models, and looking at then what supportive policy interventions will be needed to enable this. And they argue this needs to take a systemic portfolio approach that supports each stage of infrastructure delivery and operation, supporting the capacities and capabilities of these different actors, and to be targeted to the capabilities and the motivations of these actors in the provision of local infrastructure. So hopefully that's about my 10 minutes. Happy to answer questions, and also more information in the papers that have been published. So thanks very much.
Perfect, Tim. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Tim? We've got time for 1 or 2 questions, I think. Is this working?
Duncan Potting, GSA. Great, Tom. Just in terms of the issues around governance change and regulation change to actually enable that model that you just highlighted, how do you see that happening, and in what time frame do you think it could be achieved?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, within the clean growth strategy, there are commitments to support and provide public funding for to support the development of district heat networks by 2021.
I was thinking more around legislation change. At the moment, peer-to-peer trading is illegal.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, clearly, we've gone from that the electricity regulatory system was designed as a market with a competitive supply market, competitive generation market, but a one-way centralized system, and we're now trying to evolve that system to enable much more demand-side participation, as you say, looking at peer-to-peer lending, interactions, and I mean, to be fair, Ofgem are trialling. They have this regulatory sandbox where new firms can trial new systems. I mean, again, maybe not fast enough, and maybe we do need more radical change to enable these local business models.